The Galactic Empire had destroyed many worlds before. Their fleets moved like shadows across space, fast and silent. No one could stop them. Planet after planet fell. Some surrendered, some fought, all were crushed. The Empire believed no one could challenge them. So when they saw Earth, a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy, they thought it would be easy. The Empire sent a message to Earth. It was not a question. It was a demand. Total surrender. Give up your weapons. Bow to the Emperor or be destroyed. The message was clear, but Earth did not reply. There was silence. Days passed. The Empire waited, confused. No answer came. No signal. No message of peace. Nothing. The Imperial commanders laughed. They thought humans were scared, weak, maybe too primitive to understand. Some even joked that Earth had no real armies. They called it a quiet little planet full of noise and water, a place for animals, not warriors. To prove their point, the Empire sent a scout ship. It was a small but powerful vessel, armed and fast. Its job was simple: land, take samples, and show the humans who ruled the stars. The scout landed just outside a major city. It sent back one final message: landing complete, no resistance found. Then, nothing. Hours passed, then a day. No reply, no video feed, no life signs. The Empire sent a second ship to scan the maze area. But where the scout had landed, there was only a black crater. No wreckage, no trace of the ship or crew, just a burned message scratched into the earth. We heard you. The Empire did not laugh this time. Commanders began to argue. Some said to wait. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe humans didn't mean harm. Others said Earth was hiding something, a secret weapon, or worse, something older, something ancient. But the High Command made the final decision. They would invade. The fleet was prepared. Over 200 warships loaded with weapons strong enough to destroy continents. Soldiers trained on 10 different worlds. Tanks that could float. Bombs that could burn air. It was not just an invasion. It was punishment. A message to the rest of the galaxy. Obey or burn. The fleet left orbit and moved toward Earth. Humans still sent no message, no warning, no fear. They simply watched. Some even smiled. And for the first time, the Empire began to feel something they had never felt before. Not anger, not pride, but a strange, cold fear. As the fleet approached, strange signals filled their systems. Lights flickered, screens turned off. Some ships spun out of control. Captains shouted in panic. "Is this human technology?" one asked. "No," said another. "This is something else." Then, one by one, the ships began to vanish. No explosions, no fire, just silence. And in that silence, a voice came through every speaker across the Empire fleet. A human voice. Calm, cold, clear. "You started this. We will finish it." And then, everything went dark. The Empire expected Earth to panic. They thought humans would scream, cry, and beg for peace. They believed Earth would send messages asking for mercy, but Earth stayed quiet. There was no fear, no surrender, no reply at all. The Imperial fleet entered Earth's orbit. Hundreds of massive warships floated above the planet. The skies were dark with their shadows. Every gun was ready. Every soldier was armed. From above, Earth looked peaceful. Too peaceful, alien. Generals scanned the cities below. They saw tall buildings, empty roads, and silent neighborhoods. There were no signs of battle, no defense systems, no missiles pointing at the sky. It made them uneasy. "Why is no one firing back?" One commander asked. "Maybe they ran," another said. "Maybe they are hiding." So the Empire launched dropships to land their troops. Thousands of soldiers hit the ground. They moved through streets, ready for combat. But there was no resistance, no humans, just quiet. One alien squad moved into what looked like a human school. The walls were covered in drawings, colorful, innocent, but something felt wrong. The floor creaked. The air felt heavy. One soldier picked up a child's toy. Then the lights went out. Screams followed. The squad never answered again. In another city, a battalion marched down wide roads. Buildings towered on both sides. Suddenly, all communication with the unit stopped. Drones flew in to check. But there was nothing. No bodies. No signs of a fight. Just a single message painted in red across the road. You were warned, the Imperial commanders started to argue. Where are the humans? Why aren't they fighting? This is a trap. But it was too late. The invasion had already begun. Some tried to send messages back to the Empire, but their signals were blocked. Satellites stopped responding. Systems glitched. Maps showed cities that weren't there anymore, and missed ones that suddenly lit up in red. A scouting unit flying over a forest saw movement. They zoomed in. It was a single human child standing in the middle of a road. No adults, no weapons. Just a little girl. The pilot hesitated. She's not a threat, said the co-pilot. But the child looked up at the ship. She raised one hand and pointed toward the sky. Then she mouthed a single word. Run. A second later, a beam of white light blasted from underground and struck the ship. It exploded instantly. The burning wreckage fell into the trees. The girl was gone. Back in orbit, panic spread. Ships began losing control. Weapons fired without commands. Some ships turned on each other. Artificial gravity collapsed in others. One admiral screamed, "We need to leave. Earth isn't what we thought." But there was no escape. The space around Earth had changed. A massive energy field surrounded the planet now, cloaked before, but now fully active. No ship could leave. No signal could pass. The fleet was trapped. Inside the Empire's flagship, General Calvor stood silent, staring out the window. Below him, cities still looked calm. But he knew it was a lie. This wasn't peace. This was control. Total control. He turned to his officers. "Send every soldier," he ordered. "We take the cities, we find the humans." But the humans had already found them. Across the planet, hidden bunkers opened. Silent machines rolled out. Not tanks, but something older and more advanced. They moved without sound, struck without warning, and vanished into shadows. Some soldiers reported being followed by shapes in the dark, too fast to see, too strong to stop. In one city, an alien sniper saw a man walking through the ruins. Just one, no armor, no weapon. The sniper took aim, but before he could fire, his scope went black. A whisper came through his headset. "We see you." His body was found. Later, eyes wide open, weapon untouched. The Empire tried to regroup, but it was chaos. No one could trust their own equipment. Maps changed. Orders vanished. Ships fell from the sky. One message finally made it through to the flagship. It was short. From Earth's Global Defense Command. This was your choice. Now, you will learn why no one ever attacks Earth twice. Then every screen on every Imperial ship flickered. A single image appeared. A burning world. Not Earth, but an alien planet, once powerful, now ash. Below it, a name. Tarnoch 7. It was a memory, a forgotten war. A planet that challenged Earth 100 years ago, and disappeared from all star charts. No one had believed the old stories. But now, the Empire understood. Earth had not been weak. It had been waiting for a reason to strike, and now their worlds would burn. The Empire had always believed they were the strongest in the galaxy. No race had ever stood against them. No one had dared. So when Earth began to fight back, really fight back, the Empire didn't just feel surprised, they felt fear. It started with silence. A kind of stillness in the air that didn't belong on a battlefield. Imperial ships, still trapped in Earth's orbit, could no longer reach each other. Communication was dead. Command orders never arrived. Pilots floated alone in space, waiting for instructions that never came. And then, the lights began to go out. One Imperial destroyer lost power completely. Lights died. Gravity failed. The crew screamed in the darkness as freezing cold swept through the corridors. Some tried to reach escape pods. Others fired blindly, thinking humans had boarded the ship. But no enemy came. Only silence. Only fear. Then one screen flickered back to life. A single human face appeared, an old man, calm, wearing no armor, just staring into the camera. He spoke 3 words. "This is justice." Then the screen went black again, and the ship exploded. From the ground, humans watched the fireball rise in the sky like a second sun. They didn't cheer, they didn't celebrate, they only moved to the next target. On Earth's surface, the Imperial army was falling apart. Their weapons stopped working, their maps were useless. Human drones flew high in the clouds, unseen but always watching. They attacked with perfect timing, never missing, never wasting a shot. When they hit, it was always fatal. One Imperial commander, General Valgrix, led a last group of survivors toward an open field, hoping to escape. He looked up and saw a human aircraft hovering quietly above. It wasn't firing, just watching. He ordered his soldiers to stop. "I will talk to them," he said. He walked forward alone, hands open, shouting in every known language. "We surrender. We seek peace." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a second ship landed beside the first. Its doors opened, and out stepped a human woman. She wasn't wearing a helmet. No weapons. She looked calm, almost gentle. But her eyes burned like stars. "You speak of peace now," she said. "After you brought war." Valgrix dropped to his knees. "Please, spare us." The woman looked at him for a long time. Then she said softly, "We spared you once." She turned and walked away. The ship rose into the sky, and the entire field lit up in flames. No one in the Empire knew her name, but survivors whispered stories about her. They called her the Flame of Earth, the one who shows mercy. Before the fire, back in orbit, the last remaining Imperial flagship drifted helplessly. The crew begged their leaders to retreat. "We must run," one officer cried. "We're outmatched." But the Admiral only stared ahead, eyes wide, shaking. He had just seen the incoming data from the outer sectors. The Empire's homeworlds were burning. Earth's secret allies, humans hidden for years on distant colonies, had awakened. They were soldiers, spies, and engineers. They had waited in silence. Now they struck. Empire planets that had never even heard of Earth were falling. The Admiral whispered, "We thought Earth was small." A junior officer replied, "They wanted us to think that." Then a strange sound echoed through their ship's walls. Music. A slow, haunting human melody. No source could be found. It just played like a funeral. Then came the final message, broadcast into every remaining Imperial ship. "You thought war was your weapon. But for us, war is memory. You opened the door, now we walk through." And as the last signal faded, Earth's final wave of ships broke through orbit, silent, silver, and deadly. The Empire had ruled for thousands of years. They had crushed rebellions, burned cities, and silenced galaxies. But now, they were the ones running, hiding, begging for answers. And Earth, quiet Earth, was not done yet. The human ships entered deep space. Not hundreds, just a few. But each one carried weapons the Empire had never seen. These ships didn't roar. They moved like shadows, like wolves hunting wounded prey. And the prey was every world that had flown the Empire's flag on Zareth. Prime, a major supply world, alarms rang for days. Ships rushed to evacuate civilians. Soldiers set up defenses around the cities. They waited for massive battleships. Instead, only 3 small human vessels arrived. The Empire laughed at first, until the sky went dark. The humans didn't fire traditional weapons. They released a silent wave of electromagnetic pulses. Empire. Tech stopped. Defense grids froze. Power died. Then came the attack. Fast, quiet, without warning. No missiles, no tanks, just silence. Then fire. In 22 minutes, Zareth Prime was lost, and that was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, Earth's old enemies began to panic. "We didn't attack Earth," they said. "We stayed out of the war." But Earth remembered. They remembered who had traded weapons with the Empire, who had called humans savages, who had laughed during the invasion announcement. And now, Earth answered, not with words, but with fire. In the Empire's capital system, chaos took over. Senators screamed for peace talks. Governors ordered troops to return from Earth. But it was too late. The jump gates were gone, destroyed. The old paths through space were collapsing, cut by Earth's advanced wormhole disruptors. One by one, the stars grew quiet. On the last standing council station, the Emperor sat in silence. His advisors begged him to speak, to command, to call for a truce, but the Emperor could not speak because in front of him floated a small black box, a human signal pod. It had landed on his personal platform without warning. No alarms triggered, no defense system saw it coming. The Emperor's guards had scanned it. No bombs, no weapons, just a message. It played only once. A human voice, calm, clear, cold. You ruled with fear. Now, feel what you gave. This is not conquest. This is correction. The box powered down, but the message kept playing in the Emperor's mind, again and again. Outside the station, a new storm appeared. A swirling black mass of human warships, silent, efficient, unstoppable. The Emperor's hands shook. This can't be, he whispered. This isn't a war. This is extermination. But he was wrong again. It wasn't extermination. It was a lesson. Earth wasn't trying to wipe out the Empire. They were teaching them what happens when you poke a sleeping giant. On the far side of the galaxy, a few Empire survivors tried to regroup. They met in secret. Low-level captains, escaped soldiers. Some had seen their entire fleets fall. Others had barely made it out alive. One of them, a young pilot named Jirek, asked a question that no one could answer. How did we never see this coming? How did we not know what Earth was? An old general with scars across his face looked at him with tired eyes. We did, he said. Long ago, but we called them myths, stories, lies. Jirek frowned. What kind of stories? The general leaned forward. Stories of a world where children grow up in storms, where ice burns skin and fire rains from the sky. A place where gravity crushes bones and the wildlife can kill armies. They called it a death world. He paused. But they forgot one thing. Death worlds don't just survive. The others leaned in. They adapt. They evolve. They remember. And as his voice faded, a red light blinked above them. A human tracking signal. They were found. And Earth was coming. The war was over. The stars were quiet. The Empire was no more. But Earth did not celebrate. There were no fireworks, no cheers, no victory speeches. The humans returned to their world with calm steps and silent hearts. For them, this was never about winning. It was about being left alone. It was about making sure no one ever dared again. In the ruins of once mighty Empire cities, alien survivors tried to rebuild, slowly, quietly, not out of hope, but out of fear. They had seen what Earth could do, what Earth had become, but not everyone feared them. Some respected them. Some even whispered of Earth as a protector now. Dangerous, yes, but fair. Brutal, but only when forced. A warning to those who would rule through cruelty. In the Galactic Council, what was left of it, a new voice spoke. A young leader from a neutral world stood before the remaining species. We called Earth primitive, she said. We laughed at their silence. We mocked their kindness. And we unleashed something. Ancient. She paused, then looked around. They didn't become monsters. We forced them to remember they were human. And that, the Council realized, was what truly scared them, because humanity had not changed. They had simply stopped pretending. Back. On Earth, the skies were clear. Children played in fields. Cities were quiet but peaceful. In a mountain facility, deep underground, a single wall glowed with alien symbols. A man stood before it, one of the human strategists who had planned the war. Beside him, a technician asked, "Is it finally over?" The man didn't answer. He stared at the screen, where a new message had just appeared. A signal. Unknown origin. Older than the Empire. Buried in static. But slowly, words began to form. They were watching too. Now, they are coming. The room went still. The technician whispered, "Who?" "The Zarkali, the void kind." The strategist said nothing. He just turned and walked out of the room, speaking a final sentence before the heavy door closed behind him. "Prepare Earth." Earth had won the war. But peace was just a pause, and far beyond the stars, something even worse was waking up. And this time, humanity would not wait to be attacked. In the deep black of space, the last screams of the Empire faded into silence. Once they had ruled with unshakable power. Now they were only stories told by frightened voices on dying worlds. But Earth wasn't finished yet. They weren't just destroying ships. They were tearing apart the lies that had held the galaxy in fear for centuries. Above the ruined world of Rivalon, an old Imperial archive ship floated silently, trying to escape. It held thousands of years of records, plans, battle histories, the secrets of how the Empire rose to power. Inside, a nervous data officer sent message after message. "We carry knowledge, not weapons. We seek no fight." No one answered. Then, one human ship appeared, sleek, black, and cold as the space around it. It didn't fire, it just moved closer. The archive crew panicked. "Prepare for boarding." But there was no boarding. Instead, a soft voice played across every speaker on. "The ship. You erased us from your records. Now we erase you from ours." Then the lights shut off. The ship was never seen again. Elsewhere, across forgotten moons and abandoned colonies, survivors whispered stories. Some spoke of ghost soldiers, humans with armor that shimmered like glass, appearing in the dark and disappearing without sound. Others told of machines that could think like humans, strike faster than any living creature, and leave nothing but ashes behind. And in every tale, one truth remained. Earth had become something more than the galaxy understood. They weren't just soldiers, they were symbols. On a broken planet called Krelsh, two young alien children sat beside the remains of their home. Fire still burned in the hills. Their parents were gone. Everything was ash. Then a shadow fell across them. They looked up in fear, but instead of a soldier, they saw a human kneeling in front of them. No gun, no threat. Just a pack of water and a small blanket. The human placed it in front of them and said softly, "Not all of you chose this war." Then they vanished into the smoke. Not every strike was violent. Not every lesson was taught in fire. But they were all remembered. Back in the Empire's last military command station, panic ruled. Officers shouted over each other. Star maps showed. More and more red zones, lost systems, captured planets, radio silence. One of the younger generals pounded his fist on the table. "We need to use the Devastator code." Another snapped, "That will kill billions. We'll be no better than them." A voice rose from the corner, calm, cold. "They already know who we are. They've seen what we did." Everyone turned. The Emperor had arrived, but he looked different, weaker, older, as if the war had already claimed him. "They offered us a chance," he said. "We called them weak. We spat on their silence. And now, their silence is our sentence." Someone asked, "Then what do we do?" He looked at them for a long moment and said, "We run." That same night, across 100 systems, Empire forces abandoned their posts. Ships were set to self-destruct. Archives were deleted. Cities were left in darkness. But it didn't matter, because Earth had already seen, already recorded, already judged. On the far edge of the galaxy, a hidden outpost detected a strange signal. A beacon. It pulsed with quiet strength. A language no one had heard before. The crew tried to decode it. After hours, a single message appeared on their screen. It read, "This was never about power." This was about respect, and you failed. They stared at the words, frozen. Then the screen went dark. The Empire was no longer an empire. It was ashes spread across 1,000 stars. But Earth was still moving. Not to conquer, not to control, but to finish what had been started. In the shadows of Sector 19, an Imperial war lab floated silently. It had once been a place of fear, where the Empire built the worst of its weapons. Plagues, neural scramblers, sun killers. Even now, scientists still worked in the dark, hoping to create a final tool that could stop Earth. They thought they were hidden, but Earth had already found them. One night, every screen inside the lab flickered. A human symbol appeared, a simple flame. Then came a voice. You created horrors for war. We created horror to end it. And then every single device inside the lab shut down at once. Moments later, the walls began to melt. There were no explosions, no fire, just silence. The lab was gone, forever. Back on the Empire's last capital moon, survivors gathered underground, tired, dirty, scared. Children cried. Soldiers sharpened knives with shaking hands. No one spoke loudly, no one smiled. Everyone waited. Would the humans come? Some hoped they wouldn't. Others feared they already had. Then a sound echoed through the base. Footsteps. Not marching, just walking. Slow, calm, certain. Guards raised weapons. Lights flashed. Systems scanned. Nothing was there, just the sound. Then, a door opened by itself. Standing outside was a single human. Not a general, not a robot, just a man. His eyes were calm. His clothes were dark. His face had no emotion. He stepped forward and looked around at the broken alien warriors. No one moved. No one breathed. Then he spoke. We are not your monsters. We are your mirror. And with that, he turned and walked away. No one followed him. No one dared. That night, the survivors left the base and spread across empty lands. Some never returned. Some built small homes. Others simply wandered, too broken to rebuild. But they all remembered the man. Not because he killed them, but because he didn't. Meanwhile, deep in Earth's command vessel, hidden beyond the known systems, human leaders sat around a single, long table. There was no celebration, no joy, only silence. A general looked around the room and spoke. Phase 1 is complete. The Empire is broken. A woman nodded. But fear still lives. Another added. We could rule now. Take the galaxy. The room fell quiet. Then the oldest among them, an admiral with steel-gray eyes, shook his head. We don't want their thrones. He stood. We just want them to understand what we always knew. Someone asked, and what is that? The admiral replied, you don't touch fire and walk away unburned. Outside the ship, stars shimmered quietly. Somewhere, far away, another signal blinked to life, unknown, ancient, full of warnings. Earth turned toward it slowly, because the war with the Empire was ending. But something darker was waking up, and Earth was already watching.